is a two-part video guide. In part 1 we'll be making the Christmas pudding flaps themselves, and in part 2 we'll be making the main body of the glove and inserting the Christmas pudding flaps into the glove just as we're about to go into making the individual fingers. Now if you check out the description box below, you'll find detail on where to purchase the written instructions to these video guides, and there'll also be information on other video designs such as these, my Rudolph fingerless gloves. Oh, he's so cute. So anyway, let's get on with the video tutorial. This glove uses a set of 3.5mm double pointed needles, a 4mm circular needle, a 3.5 and 4mm crochet hook, and 6 different colourways in double knitting yarn. For similar results, marry the ball band tension. So we'll begin with the Christmas pudding top colourway, and we're going to do my very special star-like cast on, which you begin by creating a circle and pulling through a loop as if to create a slip knot. Let's go out a bit so that I don't go off camera. And then you begin by inserting the needle into that slip stitch, but at the same time you're keeping this little circle active because we're going to work our stitches into it. So I'm just going to tension my hand here, get this stitch nicely tensioned on my working needle, something like that. So it's a little bit fiddly but not impossible. And then I'm going to create, I don't know if you saw that, a yarn over. So I've wrapped the yarn over the top of the needle. That will create one stitch. If we go into the circle, grab the yarn and pull through the circle, we now have 3 stitches. Can you see? 1, 2, 3. We're going to repeat the yarn over, go into the circle, grab another stitch. That's 5 stitches on the needle. Repeat again, yarn over, into the circle, grab another stitch. We now have 7. Yarn over, into the circle, grab a stitch. That's 9. Yarn over, into the circle, grab a stitch. That's 11. And what we're after is 12. So for the very last stitch, bring the yarn slightly forward so that you can insert the needle into the back of the circle, pick up your yarn and bring it to the back. That creates 12 stitches. We'll tighten the circle by pulling it slightly. Don't panic, it will work. Just pull that a little bit, something like so. Get your second double pointed needle, slip 6 stitches onto the second needle. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pull this tight. Whoops. Like so. So I've drawn that magic circle right in. So everything's pulled nice and tight. We can now create our very first round. So go in to your first stitch and knit knit it. So knit the first lot of your 6 stitches, and even though we've created these stitches with yarn overs, no need to worry about working through the backs of them. So just very carefully work those 6 stitches. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and repeat for the second needle. And this star-like cast on is brilliant, where you need very few stitches and you want to make increases. So for these pudding flaps and for hats and for socks, it's a really brilliant cast on. I think it looks really pretty and neat. Right, so we have all our stitches worked. Everything's nice and tidy. We're now going to introduce a 4mm circular needle, and from now on we'll be working the magic loop technique, and we're going to just knit these 12 stitches, and then we'll be able to abandon these double pointed needles. So that's needle 1 dealt with. Now, in order to work the stitches on needle 2, bring the right needle right around so that you can manoeuvre it. So this nylon enables you to turn and work the next set of stitches. I'm going to pull that tight. So for the magic loop technique, you're basically working 2 sets of stitches, 2 halves. So you want to divide the work as evenly as possible, which luckily this is already divided, look. So we've done 1 round, and now we can pull this left needle and slip the first set of stitches back onto the left needle like so, and then we can pull the right needle around in order that we can begin the next round. Before I do that, I'm going to start using a marker, so that will go on the end. So now I always know my starting position. So for the next round, we're going to begin with a yarn forward. So all that means is simply lying the yarn across the right needle. I'll explain as we go along, you'll see what I mean. So next we need to yarn forward and knit 2. So we've done our first yarn forward, now we're going to knit 2. And can you see that's made a little stitch there? We're going to repeat that sequence throughout. Yarn forward, knit 2. Yarn forward, knit 2. So that's our first half complete. I'm now going to pull the stitches of the second half up onto the left needle. I'm going to bring the right needle into play again, and we're going to complete that same sequence. Yarn forward, knit 2. I always tend to pull tightly in between the junctions there of the two needles. Yarn forward, knit 2. This avoids ladders and uneven looking tension, loose tension at the sides. So there we go, needle 2, yarn forward, knit 2, yarn forward, knit 2, yarn forward, knit 2. There's our marker, looks. Can take that off. So now for round 3. So bring the first set of stitches up on the left needle. Pull the right needle into action. We'll slip that marker on. Now the next round, knit 1 through the back of the loop. So remember this yarn forward that we created on the previous round. Insert the needle into the back and work it knitwise. Next, knit 2. So we're going to repeat that sequence throughout. So every yarn forward we're going to work into the back and then knit 2. Again, knit 1 through back of loop, knit 2. So that's our first half. So bring through the next set of stitches onto your left needle, swing the right needle around and get ready to repeat by knitting 1 through the back of the loop and then knitting 2. Knit 1 through back of loop and knit 2, and that completes round 3. So bring the next set of stitches up onto the left needle, bring the right round to begin round 4. Round 4 we are going to again do the yarn forward by bringing the yarn in front of the right needle, and we're going to knit 3 and repeat that sequence throughout. Yarn forward, knit 3, yarn forward, knit 3, and repeat for the second half. Bring all your stitches up onto the left needle, swing the right needle around so that you can use the right needle, and again yarn in front, look, and pulling that fairly tight, and then knit 3. So I'm pulling it tight only at the half sections. Yarn forward, knit 3, yarn forward, knit 3, and that completes round 4. I'm ready to begin round 5. Now I'm going to go into this previous yarn over or yarn forward, and I'm working into the back of it, and then I'm going to knit 3, but my stitches have overlapped, look. 1, 2, 3. Knit 1 through back of loop, knit 3. knit 1 through back of loop and knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and we can repeat for the second half. So again, knit 1 through back of loop, ensuring that the yarn is at the back, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, knit 1 through the back, whoops, knit 1 through the back, and then knit 3, 1, 2, 3, knit 1 through the back and end by knitting 3. So that's round 5 now completed. Round 6, yarn forward, knit 4, yarn forward, knit 4, yarn forward, knit 4, and repeat that for the second half. So yarn forward and knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn forward, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yarn forward, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's round 6. Round 7, knit 1 through back of loop and then knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat that sequence throughout the round. So we're going to work through the back of the next stitch and then knit 4. Work through the back of the work through the back of the next stitch, knit 4, and repeat that for the second half. So bring the right needle around into the next stitch, work into the back and knit 4. Knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 4. Knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 4. Round 8, yarn forward and knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat that sequence throughout. Yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat that for the next half section, pull that right needle around and yarn forward, knit 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn forward, knit 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So that's round 8. Round 9, knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, knit 1 through the back of the loop, knit 5, knit 1 through the back of the loop, knit 5, and repeat for the second half. So knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 5. Knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 5. Knit 1 through the back of the loop and knit 5. And that's round 9 complete. Now round 10 is a plain knit round. So we've completed our increases now. So round 10 we're just going to knit. And at this point we should have 36 stitches in total. So after completing the first half, I'm just going to check that I have 18. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Perfect. Now for the next half section. And if you notice, I know I keep saying this, but I do tighten at the junctions here, because that's where you're likely to develop little ladders if you don't. So that's round 10 now complete. Now the next round, round 11, is where we're going to introduce our colour B. just position my marker and bring my stitches up. And what we're going to do here is begin with colour B. I've got my yarn, and all I'm going to do is simply knit one stitch in B. Now what I'm going to do is position my yarn to the left for the moment, and next what I'm going to do is complete, let me check my pattern, 5, yes, so I've got 5 stitches in colour A, so that's 1, 2, and on the third stitch what I'd like to do is tension this in my left hand, and all I'm going to do is raise that in order that when I bring my colour around it, I've kind of caught it in the back. So that's 3, and then I'm going to just bring that colour B behind again. No, actually I'll leave it up like that, yeah. So that's 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to get my brown yarn, colour B, and in my shaky continental style I am going to knit it. Then with my right hand I'm going to knit 3. I'm holding the brown yarn behind all of this. Now I'm going to bring the brown yarn slightly forward, just so that when I work a 4th stitch I have in fact caught it. So I've got 2, 4, 5. Now I'm going to work 1 stitch in brown. I'm going to hold the brown to the back. I'm going to knit 3 in the white in colour A. Going to bring that brown yarn slightly forward so that I can catch it in at the back, and then I'm holding it up at the same time. So we've got a pattern here of 1 brown, 5, 1 colour B, 5 colour A, and it's repeated throughout. I'm going to bring the second half into play. And again we begin with 1 little brown stitch in colour B. Then I'm going to pick up colour A and work 3 stitches. And now I'm going to do my best to tension my hand with the left, tension my hand with the right, and next, on my next 4th stitch in colour A, I'm lifting that brown up so that the white catches it. This just helps the second colourway move around to where you need it to be. So I'm going to hold that up still. So I've got 2, 4, 5, and then I'm going to knit 1. So knit 1, 2, 3, bring that colour B slightly forward so that colour A catches it in at the back, like so. Oops, and lift it up still. 2, 4, 5, and then we want 1 colour B stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, bring the brown yarn slightly forward so that we can catch it in, and we end with 5 stitches, 2, 4, 5 in colour A. So that's round 11 done. So we'll bring our next set of stitches up, and then what I'll do as well is I'll just tie in this brown with a double knot, something like that. I'm going to pull that in tightly, like so. And then we can continue with round 12. So put that marker in position. Next we're going to work 2 stitches in colour B. So that's 1, 2, and then with colour A we're going to work the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to tension my left hand. Next I'm going to work 1 in colour B, and then I'm going to repeat that sequence throughout. So again, knit 2 in colour B, 1, 2, then bring colour A and knit 3, 2, 3, and let's round this up, let's call this knit 3, 1, 2, got a little thread caught, 3 in colour B, and then keep going with that pattern, 3 in colour A, and end with 1 in colour B, and we're going to repeat that little sequence for the second half. Bring the right needle around to get colour B, and we're going to knit 2, aren't we, first of all, in colour B, 1, 2. So we've got 2 brown stitches, colour B. Next, knit 3 in colour A, like so, and then with my left hand I'm going to grab colour B and knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I find this method of using both hands the most effective way of getting a nice result in my colour work. I'd strongly urge you to learn both, both-handed styles of knitting. It will really pay off in the long run. So knit 3 in colour B, knit 3 in colour A, and end with 1 in colour B. So that's round 12 now complete, and in fact we don't need colour A anymore. Colour A is now redundant. So snip that off. And we are now going to complete 8 rounds in colour B. So I'm going to reposition my marker. Bring the first 18 stitches into position. And I'm going to complete our first knit round in colour B. With those 8 rounds completed, we are now going to begin using our 3.5mm double pointed needles, and we're going to knit one and then purl one and repeat that throughout. So we're completing a knit one, purl one, rib. So knit one and then purl one, ending the first round by knitting one and purling one. So our work is now on 2 double pointed needles. I'm going to grab a third double pointed needle now. Next, I would like you to complete 4 more rounds in exactly the same knit one, purl one, rib, remembering to pull at the junctions nice and snugly so that we don't have nasty gaps to the sides. Purl one. With a total of 5 rounds of ribbing completed, I no longer need the marker. We are going to cast off 18 stitches, so that's 1/2 of the flap, and we're going to do it in pattern, so that means knitting one and then purling one, and with 2 stitches on the right needle we're taking 1 stitch, actually I might do this with my right hand, 1 stitch over the other, repeat in pattern, knit one, 2 stitches, slip one over the other, keeping the pattern flow, purl one, then cast off, knit one, cast off, purl one, cast off, knit one, cast off, purl one, cast off, and then we want to cast off 1 more stitch, so knit one, cast off, slip that stitch over and check, because we do want 18, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, so that's perfect. We're going to leave those 18 stitches on our holder. So next for the berries, and in the berry colourway, create a magic circle and pull through a little loop like so. Just make that circle a tiny bit smaller, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now into the circle we're going to yarn over twice, pull through a loop, and then pull through twice, but we're going to leave the very last loop each time we create a stitch. So we're going to do another treble, yarn around the hook twice, into the circle, pull up a loop, pull through twice, creating a third stitch on your hook. Yarn around the hook twice, through the circle, pull through a loop, then pull through twice. We have 4 stitches on our crochet hook. Now pull through all 4 stitches and secure with another slip stitch. Now chain 1, and we're going to create 3 more little bobbles. I'm going to just pull that in a touch. This time we begin with a treble, yarn around the hook twice, into the circle, pull through a loop, pull through once, twice, and initially a third time. That leaves 1 stitch on the hook. Create 3 more stitches in a similar fashion. So that's the second stitch. The third stitch. And when we've got 4 stitches on our hook, we're going to pull through and create a little cluster. Look, I've got an extra strand there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Look, that's not a very brilliantly formed stitch, but by the time I've pulled that in, secured with a slip stitch, you would never know. 1 chain. Now yarn around the hook twice and repeat to create a third bobble. So that's our first stitch. Oops, I can feel that I've not caught that quite right. I might have to do that stitch again. So now for our second stitch. That's better, so that's 2 stitches. Three stitches. Four stitches on the hook, pull through them all, secure with a slip stitch, 1 chain. Now for the last bobble, create a treble, pull through 3 times initially, 1, 2, 3. Now create another 3 stitches. It's a second stitch. Our last stitch. We've now got 4 posts. We can pull through, tighten them up, secure with a slip stitch, 1 chain, pull the magic circle in really tight, and then into the top of the first bobble we'll go into it with a little slip stitch and form a nice circle.
Can I talk?
No.
That gin and tonic is going flat.
I know, sorry. Snip and pull that through. And we can adjust that circle at any time in fact, if it's left slightly open, that's fine for now, because we can adjust that at the end when we insert the buttonhole loop through it. So we'll tidy that up right at the end. Now get your leaf colourway and join the yarn into one of the one chain spaces. So we're now joined in. Next, chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now into the third chain, slip stitch. Into the next chain, single crochet. Into the next chain, create a half treble. So that means pulling through all 3 stitches at a time. Then into the next 2 stitches, we're going to do a double crochet. That's 1, 2, and that's a large leaf formed there. I'm just going to tighten that up here. So into the same one chain space, we can single crochet, and into the same space we're going to create a smaller leaf now. So chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the same way create your second leaf. So 1, 2, into the third chain, we're going to do a little slip stitch, into the next chain, single crochet, into the next chain we will do a half treble, and then lastly we'll do a double crochet into that last chain. And end by single crochet into the same one chain space. So we've got 2 little leaves formed there. Right, so now separate the bobbles, and into the next one chain space we're going to go in and create 2 single crochets into it. That's 1, and that's 2. Moving along into the next one chain space, enter into it and single crochet, and we're going to create our third and final leaf. Create 6 chains, and then into the third stitch we'll create a little slip stitch, into the next stitch a single crochet, into the following stitch a half treble, and then ending with a double crochet. So into the same space, finish with a single crochet, and then into the next one chain space we're going to create 2 single crochets. That's 1 and that's 2. And then I'm going to end by joining into the base of this leaf here with a little slip stitch. Then we can snip the yarn, pull that through and weave in all those loose ends. Allow approximately 20 chain stitches for your button loop, as it does have to go through the thickness of the berries and also be large enough to go around a button. So check your button size too and tailor to suit.